So one thing too that I'm always so curious about, because right now everybody is woke because of everybody is woke. And I'm going to use strong air quotes with this, because of what's been happening recently within the past several months. And me being here on Notre Dame's campus, I'll never forget. I was walking by this one dorm on campus, and they was blasting something out the window. I can't remember if it was Yellow Paint or who it was, but needless to say, and I put a quote. I did like a little TikTok, and I said, "Oh wow, Notre Dame was an HBCU. I didn't even know that." And my thing is, because everybody loves hip hop so much, I'm really curious to know if, one, are they on our side because it's popular, because Black Lives Matter is popular, and music is such a strong element that brings communities together. But for those people, just like spirituals have a significance because it tells a story. Hip hop tells a story. But I really wonder if people are getting lost in the beat and they're not listening to the message. And we'll talk about the message in a second. But it's like, I really like, what is your take on this trend that's happening? Because I will say Black Lives Matter, at least here in this area, is a little quiet because nothing is happening. But I don't know, like, what is your take on that when it comes down to it just being popular?
Yeah, my take on it is just that. It's just popular. And I'm reminded in thinking of jazz music, rock and roll, blues, which were the popular musics of that era. But, the whites that were participating in that popular culture of that era, that was right in the middle of Jim Crow, South. And these were the same folks who were hanging black folks. But at the same time, they were listening to Little Richard and, or a culturally appropriated Elvis Presley. You know what I'm saying? Like, they were listening to this, but they were at the same time, their attitudes and their behavior reflected one of white supremacy and racism.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say that, I think, hip hop is like Dr. Khalid said, like hip hop is popular music and everybody wants to participate in whatever the popular art form is, right? Yeah. And just because folks are participating and consuming the music and the culture does not mean, I don't think that necessarily allows us to think that, they're on one side or the other, right? Everybody wants to be cool. Everybody wants to know like whatever trendy song is coming out,
right?
And blackness has always been cool, right? So everybody wants to be proximal to hip hop and proximal to blackness, right? Yeah. In terms of when it comes to popularity, when it comes down to issues and social issues, we really have to take a stance. I think a lot of folks, would appreciate the narratives in hip hop and that might be it for them, right? Like I can feel you through your music and that's it. And hopefully the music is pushing some folks to be more critically conscious about what's going on in the world and how it's affecting Black people. I would say like over the last few months, I've seen a lot of people of all backgrounds who've had like, negative views of people of color and the issues that they face, kind of like, try to work through their thoughts, right? And I can appreciate that of them.
Yeah.
But it's time for us as scholars and artists and the community to really push folks, to really be critical about their thoughts and move from just thinking into action, right? So hopefully those folks who are consuming the popular music are thinking about how they can be actionable, supporting the lives of Black and brown people.
Yeah, very true. No, I totally agree with that. And so before I let you go, actually, I'm going to let you know too. So you mentioned something, learn on your own. That's going to be an acronym. It's going to be LOYO from now on. Yeah, I'm going to quote you on that. So let me ask y'all this real quick. So let's do for those who are listening who really don't know the history of hip hop, we're going to play a little game. And we're going to break it apart into two sections. So Dr. Khalid, can you take us from the beginning of hip hop, we'll say to the 90s. And Fred, I want you to take us from the 90s to where we are now. If you could just like in a brief synopsis.
In terms of the history from, give me the dates again.
All right, so it's 78, right? 1979.
79, yeah. So okay. I'll give you this through the lens of some artifacts that I have.
Okay.
And so when I think about hip hop from that era, the first thing that comes to mind is this 8-track that I have from the Sugar Hill Gang. Hip hop was right at that point when it went mainstream, right when 8-track tapes were going out of style and hip hop was, cassette tapes and albums were coming out. So
yeah.
Sugar Hill Gang, Sylvia Robinson's, label, my thoughts on hip hop and my experience. I'm thinking Sugar Hill Gang early on. I'm thinking Rapper's Delight. I'm thinking The Message. These two songs, as a young man, I remember very clearly in my late elementary, early junior high school age. I remember going to the theater and seeing Beat Street in '84. So I remember Beat Street, Crush Groove, Breaking 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah.
Breaking 1 and 2. I went to see Breaking 1 and 2. But mid '80s, you have Run DMC, LL Cool J, the Fat Boys. Mm-hmm. Let me show you one artifact here. Let's see where it is. Swatch Watch Fresh.
Yeah.
1984, Run DMC, Curtis Blow, Fat Boys, Nucleus. All right, so that's mid '80s. I'm thinking later '80s. After this era, you have folks like Big Daddy Kane, Rakim, Eric B. and Rakim. You have MC Lyte. You have Queen Latifah, Public Enemy. And then going into the early '90s, people like X-Clan and I'm missing a whole bunch of people. Poor Righteous Teachers, Tribe Called Quest, going into the early '90s. Of course. But yeah, hip hop's golden era is around that time period, right? Yeah. Right before you hit the '90s. NWA, obviously, Ice Cube. If I can share a couple other things that are around me. Yeah. LL and Russell Simmons. I think this is Life Magazine.
Yep.
Yeah, so that's around that era.
Yeah.
That's dope.
Teach the people.
That's a Sonic.
Okay.
Doing an anti-apartheid concert. I believe this was in Boston.
Okay.
Dope.
Yeah. So, but also in that era, you have the Stop the Violence movement. I have what else around here? There we go. One of my favorite photographers of that era is brother Ernie Panicoli, who was one of the hip hop's greatest photographers. But he took this picture of the Ghetto Boys. But that's that era, 88, probably 87, 88.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Check him out.
But just a few things, So but hip hop, this is right before the corporatization of hip hop as well. You know what I'm saying? People were still questioning at this time whether or not hip hop was just a fad. Mm-hmm. And it was shortly after this era where the corporations step in and see a way to, make a lot of money from the culture. So I'll end it with that. And if we can go in some deeper conversation, I'm open to that.
Yeah, man. All right, Fred, it's on you, man. What you got?
Yeah, I mean, going from there, definitely the golden era of hip hop. I would agree. And then we talk about the corporatization of hip hop, and I would say that lends to the rise of gangster rap, right?
Yep.
And then we got New Yorkers. We got Diddy, you got Biggie, you got Jay-Z, you got Wu-Tang Clan in the '90s. The '90s is like my golden era of hip hop time. Where I really grew up and came of age around the culture. So I think for me, like New York really had a strong hold on hip hop for the mid to late '90s, early 2000s, and then then you have the rise of kind of like social media and social platforms. Mm-hmm. I think that also transcended a lot of hip hop to go in a different direction. Then kind of to where we are now in the 2000s, so the digital age and the digital era, where like you don't have to have a record label, a record deal to be a star anymore, right? And that's where we've grown now, where hip hop is still run by major record labels and by corporate organizations, but now I think folks still have an opportunity to kind of create their own platforms and become they've always been local artists and local like celebrities, but now even more so, like they have ways to generate income and revenue.
Yeah.
Everybody's, creating their own label. So kind of also like the entrepreneurship around hip hop. I mean, you always have to have an entrepreneurship hustle and spirit to make it in the culture and in the game. But I think even more so, it's like, you think about artists like who, like, a lot of SoundCloud artists who've come up, and, I think about all the impact that Lil Wayne has had on the culture, and like, the stronghold moving from New York and moving down south, right?
Yeah.
During the early 2000s, definitely had an impact on the culture. Miami had some time, to hold the mantle for a little bit, around then. But definitely got an opportunity to see kind of like more, what other folks in different geographic locales, how they're engaging and how they're flipping the sound of hip hop. I think that's been a beautiful thing. And I think now we're just in a space where I truly believe that hip hop has always been about about activism. Yeah. And that's always been centralized in it. But I think now we're seeing it come to the forefront more. And I'm really excited for that and pushing folks to see what that might look like and how we could incorporate that in schools and classrooms moving forward.
Yeah. And, it's funny because, man, let me tell you. So about 2 days ago, I was driving in the car and I heard a song talking about some throat babies. I said, what in the world are we talking about? So my question for y'all is, are we staying true to what hip hop was intended to be? And of course, I know there are different, we have hip hop, then we have gangster rap, and, I don't know what else is after that, but are we missing the message? Like if we go from, Grandmaster Flash, then we have that. Then of course, we have UNITY, then we have, we have like the group songs like Tootsie Roll. And I don't know, like where are we? Are we sticking true to what hip hop was intended to be?
If I could be honest, completely honest, if those are 17-year-old boys saying that, as problematic as it is, that's reflecting what little boys think about. You know what I'm saying?
You're right.
And is as creative as that is, you know what I'm saying? But it's problematic without a doubt. But I also came up in the era where, Houdini was talking about just a hoe or something like that, or Two Live Crew without a doubt. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's problematic as that was. I thought, as a young 20-year-old or 18-year-old when Two Live Crew came out, I knew it was wrong, but at the same time, we were dancing to it when it came on at the club. It was in there, you know what I'm saying? But I think one of the biggest issues though with that is, we when we hear it, we have to, I'm 50 now, so I have 50? To. Yeah, I have to.
You don't look 50, man.
Right.
So so I have to address it. You know what I'm saying? If I'm hearing young boys listen to that, then it's my duty and it's my role to address them and be a reminder and teach them to think larger than that. You know what I'm saying? And talk about what other behaviors are attached to that type of language and those type of ideas. Yeah. But if they're making those types of metaphors, then that means that they can make metaphors on a deeper level, more positive level. So let's meet them where they are and then take them where we want them to be.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. I agree. I wholeheartedly agree.
Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I think that even the challenges that there's always been an MC Hammer, right? And we don't ever critique MC Hammer. There's always been a space for that, right? Yeah. And although I think it also provides an opportunity for us to be critics of it, right? Yeah. Not all hip hop is pop, and hip hop is always going to be great or socially conscious. But how do we create a space where we can be critics of the culture, right? I think that's what the culture definitely needs, right? Yeah. Then we can tell these young men or whoever that's making these songs that or if there was a my students like, it's interesting, and I understand where you're trying to go, but what's another direction where we can go? And I love that Dr. Khalid, you kind of highlighted that if they can make those metaphors, they can definitely come up with some more appropriate ones, and you utilizing their same skills and abilities. But I think at the very least, it does provide us an opportunity to bring those pieces into the classroom to have conversations around why they're so egregious and why they may hurt people, and allow young people to be critical of it, right? there's always going to be that. And I don't think there's anything we could do about that.
That is true. That is true.
Yeah.
All right, brothers, listen, I appreciate you both so much. So here's going to be our final question here. And it doesn't have to be hip hop at all. So, so Dr. Khalid, let me ask you, who's on your playlist right now on your phone? Who do you listen to?
So on my playlist right now, Aretha Franklin.
Oh,
Amazing Grace. Amazing Grace, bro.
Then have you seen the video, like the documentary?
Man, yes, sir. It's
okay.
amazing.
Okay, I watched like 30 times by this point.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, it's amazing, bro. And you're talking to a brother who grew up. I grew up in Detroit, so I'm very familiar with the people. Yeah. But but I'm also a brother who's a Muslim as well. So it's always funny, when people go, "You listen to gospel and you're Muslim?" Yeah.
I mean, you're still black.
I mean, you could be whoever, and you listen to Aretha. I mean, man, you listen to that album; it's amazing, bro. So I'm listening to that. That's to my playlist often. I listen to a lot of Stevie. The brothers that travel with me always get mad because they know when they're in the car with me, we listen to something. We listen to
you got to.
They shaking their heads like, damn, man, again. But yeah, but I'm, to be honest, I'm not listening to a whole lot of hip hop right now, except for Busta Rhymes album.
Okay, I just heard about this the other day. I got to check it out.
Man, that joint is fire.
Okay.
That joint is fire, man. Yeah. Yep. So yeah, that's where I'm at right now.
Okay. What about you, Fred?
I always say I'm really heavy on my Afro beats. I've been really rocking with Burna Boy lately. Like I've just been a huge fan of his for the last year or two. And my boy Toby in Gwegwe,
yes.
I want to say it right.
Yeah.
But just the liberation and the blackness and just
Trudges.
Yeah, man, that's it. I'm good. That's really what I've been rocking with lately. But yeah, not as much hip hop on my deck either.
It's so funny. I'm the same way when it comes to the gospel. As much as I, talk about it, I don't really. I listen to everything else.
Yeah.
Like I'll listen to some that spa music in a minute, just to calm my day down, man. But if I listen to hip hop, for some reason, I always find myself going back to the Lauryn Hills, the Fugees, just that era. That's what I like. And I love some her. And I'll give it to her.
Yeah, her, yeah. Super talented.
Yeah, she's
super talented.
Real smooth. But listen, brothers, I'm going to wrap this thing up here, but you all are amazing. And for everybody who's watching, please go check them out. They have some amazing stuff that's out there that you will need to check out, especially if you want to be educated on the importance of hip hop and why it's so necessary for our culture today and our country and our world, period. It's the education behind it. It's the knowledge. So thank you both so much.
Thank you, bro. It was fun to be here with you.
Yes, definitely. All right, you also make sure to just go follow us on Instagram, @black_@ND, on Twitter, @ND, and on Facebook, @ND. You all have a good one.